Good morning. Thanks for checking this episode of, really it's not even an episode, it's just a little dispatch. I like to do these on occasion when things bug me, but I don't have a whole show put together. It's Saturday morning. It's dawn. It's just about 7 o'clock and sun's breaking out there. And I've been up for a couple of hours reading the news, as I'm prone to do. When I had the idea of putting together a podcast, I never wanted to have like hot button issues. And I've just done a few podcasts, so it seems like every one is sort of an issue. And you might remember that one of the ones that I did was over a priest with allegations of sexual abuse. And the idea behind my podcast is I try to do things with a Montgomery County or a Conroe-centered or centric type of view. And being that we have Sacred Heart Church here where the priest was alleged to have molested those kids, and then the courthouse right beside me that has it, where he was being tried, I felt like that was within the scope of what I wanted to do. But I sure didn't want to do a podcast that focused on, kids being molested and that sort of thing. But as I sat here and thumbed through the news this morning, I'm just getting ran over. I'm checking out the Courier, and it says that there were 10 different people arrested in January on sex crimes, and half of those had to do with with kids, with minors. So in our community, people are preying on our kid like it's cool, and it's not. Anyway, that was the headline, and as I dug a little further, I saw that right south of us, Oak Ridge High School coach, girls softball coach, was alleged to have had sexual, I'll just read you part of it. I was checking this out. This is in the Chronicle. And says that the Woodlands High School championship-winning softball coach died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head after being accused of sexually abusing one of his players. And that was on Friday. That was yesterday. Richard Jorgensen, 54, wanted on felony charges, was found slumped in his F-250 by police on a desolate road along the Sabine Pass about 10:30 last night. Said he had been dead for hours. The apparent suicide came basically as escalating issues. He was accused, and we've had, it seems like this has been going on. I feel, I don't know if the man was guilty or not, but I think his actions probably probably lends to the fact that perhaps he was. I can't imagine how the girl felt being preyed on by her coach, if that's indeed what happened. I can't imagine how the coach's family feels. God. And I can't imagine how a girl who, if indeed the accusations are true, and I have no reason to doubt her, how she feels after having, if you believe the reports, she'd kind of kissed the coach a bunch and they kind of moved on to something else, and then she stopped, and this was on several different occasions, and then she was at his house on Wednesday, and it says that the coach tried to have intercourse, and she said no, and then filed the report, and then within 36 hours, it seems like the coach had shot himself. So, I don't know, man. It's just, it's crazy. It's out of, I don't even know how to talk about it. So we've got the 10 people, we had the priest earlier. We had the 10 people arrested last month in Montgomery County. You wake up this morning on Saturday and you see that the freaking girls' high school coach was accused on Wednesday and shot himself last night or yesterday. And then it just keeps getting worse. You can't, I mean, I can't open today's news. I'm not cherry picking, running around trying to find this stuff. This is just Saturday morning cup of coffee, reading the headlines type of stuff. But it shows here that the Pope came out and is now accusing some guy. There was a cardinal, I think his name was, let's see, it's Mackerick, and it looks like Theodore Mackerick. He was a big deal in the Catholic Church, and it looks like that he's 88 years old now, and that now the church, here's the problem. I'm going to go off script here. It's so early, I shouldn't. This is probably, I don't even know if I'm ever going to post this, but I just might. So here's the thing. The Catholic Church, the culture therein is the problem. The culture is like a dead, rotting carcass beside you that has flies. The flies are the symptom. The flies are all the pedophile priests and all this kind of stuff. But here is the deal. They take this behavior, they know it's there, they deny it until, and move these people and try to pay people off and try to shame them into silence. They deny it and cover it up until the statute of limitations on a legal front has ran out. And maybe the witnesses who could be gathered for a civil suit to sue the church have either died off, or their memories aren't as good after all the years. So they managed to keep the priest from getting arrested by the cops by moving them and running the statute of limitations out. They managed to keep from getting the pantsuit off of them until the cases aren't that strong. And then at the tail end, 50 years later, they go, oh, well, under all this scrutiny that we have for 1,000 years of pedophilic behavior being swept under the rug, is like, well, we're going to reprimand you and defrock you, you monster. 300 priests, and these are the ones that were credibly accused. And that's not a legal term, that's a Catholic Church term. That's not all the people that were accused. That's the ones that they thought rose to the level that they could charge them. There's 300 people just in Pennsylvania. 1,000 victims that we know of. This is right now. This is real-time information. This isn't. And so I start to try to just wrap my head around this. I see the softball player and the scumbags in the newspaper. If this were a cocaine business, these guys that I just named would be cocaine dealers. The Catholic Church is like a cartel, and the Pope is like Pablo Escobar. And that scumbag he shuffles people around. It is a big, giant conspiracy to hide and lull people into non-prosecution or non-action whenever they get too close to the trail. It is a gigantic conspiracy with lawyers and bank accounts and hidden money and vows of secrecy. And it's all over the world. It's not even, you find it in Chile and you find it all, it's everywhere. There is no isolated example. The church is rotten. And I'm not trying to aim at every Catholic, but at some point in time we do have to say, man, what do we do about the institutions that have gone bad? The This story has legs and could go a million places. My brain is spinning as I sit here and just try to talk about it. The one is, I wonder what would happen if the tithe just quit tomorrow morning. No more tithing. And everybody went and redid their will, and anything that they were going to leave to the Catholic Church, they made sure they left it someplace else. And all of a sudden, maybe the church would go, oh, wait. It's a money machine, man. That's what it runs on. And when you unplug it, just like you unplug any other criminal empire, when you unplug the money, it gets hard to do business. And somehow, when I see these gigantic Catholic churches, and then I hear about the thousands of victims, I think they ought to sell that property, start over, and do something more that looks a little more Christ-like. That's just my opinion. I'm not Catholic, so what do I know? But I will tell you this. As a human on this planet, I don't think it's okay to prey on our kids. And whether or not you're a softball coach or a Protestant, I saw them. There were 6 Protestants earlier this month, scumbag. They were all this is here in Montgomery County. They were all arrested. So there's a lot of trashy dirtballs out there. But the problem with the Catholic Church is it is a big conspiracy. And you know who else is the victims? All the good people that go in the pews and confess and do rosary and all these types of things. Man, you guys are as victims as the people that were preyed on in a sexual way. I mean, you're being duped into supporting this machine. It's horrible. I don't know what we do about this. But I think the first thing to do is this. Quit tolerating it. We get what we tolerate. And what do I mean by that? I mean a bunch of things. Tighten up the purse strings. Quit giving them money if they can't clean house. I think I would call the district attorney and say, what do you need to rise to the level of conspiracy and do your job and prosecute criminals within your jurisdiction? And I might let them know, if you either A, can't understand the conspiracy laws or don't think that what's happening in the Catholic Church rises to that level, then maybe they should explain themselves how maybe I'm not a legal scholar, but I can read and write, and I've read the law. And so maybe the candidates for elected positions can tell us why they feel like the Catholic Church doesn't reach that authority. Let them know that that may be a real litmus test for another vote for them, is whether or not they have the gumption to go after the Catholic Church. And I think it is commendable for the DAs that have started this work, going after the low-level priests. But I think as they raid other places, the Shalom Center here in Montgomery County and the other churches, if they find other information that goes other places, and that goes outside of your jurisdiction, maybe it's time to get the FBI involved, or Interpol, or something, because this is a big deal. This isn't a little deal. That's it. I don't want to harp on this interview, this topic, but it's disgusting. And I go, well, you know what? I will harp a little bit more. Thanks. It's early and I've had caffeine. If we're out here and I wouldn't tolerate being around somebody in a work environment who I thought was a pedophile. There's no way. That ain't happening. He's got to leave. Or I do. And I watch, I watch the Democrats, the Maxine Waters calling for people to, make her political rivals uncomfortable in restaurants and uncomfortable in, bookstores and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going into a politics. I'm just going into a method of making people let them know that you disapprove of their behavior. Can we all agree as a society that preying on our children is not okay? And if that's the case, then we need to vote that way and spend our dollars that way and really even create our associations that way. elect our officials that way. I suspect this won't be the last time I touch on this issue, but I just feel ran over with it this morning. And you know what? This is the last thing I'm going to say about it. Sometimes I like to go out with just the real of how I'm feeling. Maybe we get what we put up with, and if we want to put up hanging around with this kind of crap, then maybe we do. But I don't understand how these people stay healthy this long, because I would think somebody who didn't have far to fall, didn't have much to lose, would just slap the crap out of them when they saw them at the grocery store or something. I don't understand how that hasn't happened, because it would seem to me, with all the legions of people that have been abused, incredibly, to use Catholic nomenclature, and all the damage that is done to these people psychologically, I'm surprised we haven't seen a vigilante coming out of this. Shocked, really. Yeah. Anyway, hey, so I would really like, I don't know, your comments on this. Also, if you, we'll move on to something else while I've got a dispatch open. If you have ideas for something you'd like to see on the show, or something you think that maybe I could cover or should cover, I'm always open to hear it. If you don't want to put it in the comments, you can always email me at eric@ontheairwitherikthompson.com. Yeah. So anyway, I would like to hear from you. And again, I don't want to make this like one of my hot button issues, but it's just so creepy and it's so big and it's so looming that I almost have to tiptoe around it in order not to just touch on basic news. And yes, I have the windows open here in the studio. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to check out of here, finish my coffee, and try to calm down. But have a good Saturday. I certainly appreciate you guys. If you like this kind of stuff that we do here, as always, please like and subscribe. I'll appreciate it. Oh, and I did learn something recently. There's a bell someplace on this one of these buttons someplace that if you push the little bell, you'll get a little reminder when I put out new stuff. So anyway, I sure appreciate your support. Take care. Have a great Saturday.